So I got a fun video for you today, at least I think so. This is the SE Nanaki Finals. That's right, we have a second game that we have from Deep Deep history. The first is the finals of SE Rufus from 2011, where I beat MC. Weirdly, we do not have this because I had the record. We have this because an Occult fan article by Vid had the record. Now, this is going to be a game between Nightwish and Vid, we'll be seeing here for the Nanaki finals. Interestingly, again, we do not have this because Vid had the game record. We have it because CoolSpot took a screenshot and Vid worked out how the game worked. And I checked with the solver, and his version of the game makes a lot of sense and makes for a really interesting game. So they played this game after a number of ties, and here's the decisive game. Vid is going to be on the red and played the starter of Nanaki and 9, and Nightwish is going to be on the left. Doing some brief looking at hands, you can kind of see both hands generally have four corners covered, where Nanaki works as a utility card that isn't super committed to being in any specific corner. Vid also commented that in general, Larsa was a really tricky card for him to deal with in a lot of spots. And if we look at the hands, we can see that 8 to the left is often covered. That 9 to the right is covered if the 8, 6, 7, 8 gets the particular lineup, but not necessarily. Similarly, the 10 up. And just Larsa's overall power is just so high, it can be quite difficult to deal with. But this game, Nightwish used it immediately. And the solver can tell us this position is actually already a win for Vid. And this might seem like, yeah, it should be, because Nightwish has this combo in 7. And with that combo in 7, Nightwish kind of locks in the card in 8 and clearly has a big advantage. But it's not so clear that the L's are that poor. And, some L's aren't going to work. Like this L threatens the combo in 5, but is going to get comboed hard back in 5. But it's not obvious we're winning against a move like this, and the solver will tell us we're not winning against that move. And similarly, there might be L's in 6. What might be 6? We can do our own thinking. We don't have to work with the solver here. Something like here, because you don't have a threat in 5, is really dangerous. If Vid replies in 1, something like this looks pretty lost to me. So I'd want to do something with weaker numbers sticking out. The easiest of which to do, because none of them really set up 5, probably something like this. You've got this threat to recapture safely in 3. And if they go in 3, you have good coverage of that. So I'm going to guess this move. Yeah, this is a tie as well. So if we take the combo immediately, there's some tying options. We can also look to lock in our starter, and this is not the worst idea. Again, a move like this might have problems in that we don't have 5, and so a capture could be annoying. That seems like there's ways to do it. I really like how Vid played this, though, which is to say, I have this threat in 7. It's really powerful. Can I make an equivalent threat elsewhere such that it doesn't look great if I occupy 7 immediately? Sure, my opponent has to find a good move, but they'll find a good move. Can I set up a similarly powerful threat of combo somewhere else? And Vid plays 8, 6, 7, 8, and 2, which does a whole bunch of things. It makes 7, 7, A, 5 a complete powerhouse. That card can combo in 7, it can combo in 5. It may even potentially get combos in 1 down the road. 4, 8, 6, 8A also has a ton of combo potential in both 1 and 3. Importantly, the combo in 5 is not shared. Nightwish has a way to combo in 7 with 6, 9, 7, 7, but not a way to combo in 5. And the closer we get to the end of the game, the more powerful these combos get, because the less time there is to get stuff back on board. If we took the combo as soon as possible, they can lock in for an L. We're only grabbing 1 extra card. And as we move down these variations, we may be able to grab more than 1 extra card. Another thing in general, just about having combo power against a card as powerful as Larsa, is because Larsa has such high outfacing values. This already means, this card's never really going here because the combo's just too big. This card's never going here. It already greatly limits options of what can be put next to it. There are 2 cards in 7, and there's 1 card in 5 that can be put there without walking into just horrible, horrible combos. So the solver will say there are a few winning moves for Vid, but I think this is the most fun of the winning options. But what's nice about this game is Nightwish now plays well enough that Vid has to find only winning moves on every turn to win this game, and his next move is probably my favorite move of the game. So Nightwish sees, I can't really occupy 7 or 5 without getting comboed really badly. Now, there is reason to then occupy it immediately to force the combo as early as possible, right? The earlier in the game the combo happens, the more time you often have to recover, and you often just have to get rid of the combo squares. But if we do some move, and I think 7 is the more dangerous combo square, if we do some move like this and think, okay, we'll play this, do we survive if we get comboed hard? And the answer here is just no. And a big part of the problem is this 4-6-8-A is sweeping you over on this side of the board. It combos Nanaki, and it combos 8-8-6-7. And if you start with 4-9-A-4, it combos you on the other side of the board too. I can go this way, and suddenly, sadly, this is plussed. 4 plus 7 equals 6 plus 5, and you lose 9-1. And again, anything you put here, this combos. So this 4-6-8-A, Chris, I think, is really dominant here in any of the T's. And so there really isn't a way to just go for the T and try to say, okay, you got your combo, but I got Vanille out of your hand, I got the key card out, now I can play. It doesn't seem like there's a way to play. So I think Nightwish makes the very practical defensive choice of, I'm just going to take safety where I can. Now, Cypher coming out of the hand is a concession. As we've seen, Cypher was a card that could potentially block 5, could potentially block 7 without being susceptible to combos. But it makes sense to get something on the board that's safe. And it turns out there is only one winning move for Vid here. And there's so many appealing things to do. I mean, the first thing is we might think, what happens if we take the combo? And this is kind of the most appealing thing. And we might notice, okay, they have potential combos back, but this is not scary as long as we have Chris in our hand. But that tells us we need 4-6-8-A in our hand for the left. So if they start on the right-hand side, we kind of have to hold on to Chris. We kind of got something like this, and okay, that's not so bad. But Chris has no ups, so it's really easy for them to grab a tie there. Or similarly, actually, they can even walk into huge combos, I think. Walk into this, and then combo back, and Fafnir's not doing anything. Fafnir is really a dead card, the A9-5-5. And so as long as they start on the right, there are a whole bunch of ways to get a tie. So 5 doesn't work, but 5 is very appealing. Now we may think, okay, 5 doesn't work, but we just want to leave 5 and 7 open. We'll just win the game if 5 and 7 are open. So the question is, what is the most useful thing we can do while leaving 5 and 7 open? Well, there are 2 cards we might want out of our hand. Oh, there's another one we should check first. What if we take our other combo? And the answer is, again, Fafnir is just going to be a dead card in our hand. I think there's a couple ways to tie this. The one that looked natural to me when I quickly checked the game beforehand was this. Because the problem is Fafnir isn't doing enough. We get a tie. And if you start with Chris, Fafnir is a dead card. You can even lose this game. And while, of course, there are other squares to check, I believe this does tie. And you do actually have to play Fafnir and 5 to tie here. I think this is also a tie here. There might be others. So the immediate taking of combos doesn't work. But it seems logical to leave them open. So if we're going to leave them open, we can play in 3, we can play in 4, or we can play in 6, just going by numerical order. And we might think, okay, Fafnir is our worst card. What do we want to get it out of our hand? How can we get it out of our hand? Okay, 4. This doesn't do anything, but 7-7-A-5 is still an absolute monster, and we got the really critical card out of our hand, like the card that's just useless. Chris sweeps on the right really well. This is good. Sadly, however, it doesn't quite work because they can walk into our combo, and then because Chris has no ups, they sneak a tie at the end. So that doesn't quite work. And you can see a similar thing if we start with Chris, except this one actually loses because we're left with this horrible card of Fafnir at the end. And also, we have trouble taking Chris back if needed. So for instance, if they take it, we take our combo, and Fafnir is just terrible. So the problem is this Fafnir card. And we don't have a way to get rid of it in 4, and 4 seems the most natural way to connect 5 and 7. We can also think about 3, but if we were going to block 3, our most natural card is Chris, and Chris walks into combo potential. Now here, we do win. Sorry, not that way. This way. We do win, because 7-7-A5 does dominate here. But simply just walking into that already means this is a little bit scary. Apparently the tie has nothing to do with that. The tying move is here. But again, it doesn't quite win. And when we take our big combo... Not that way, sorry. Let's actually look at the position before I make a move. Yes, because we have a combo again against Chris, and Fafnir again, even when it's on the right side of the board, is just lining up really poorly here. So all in all, there's a lot of appealing options, and I think it would be difficult to calculate this position in limited time. But Vid finds the only winning idea, and you may have ended up here too as we've talked through it, but I think it's really hard to find an actual calculation, which is kind of, I need to leave 5 and 7 open, I need to get Fafnir out of my hand, and I need to do the most useful thing I can do with Fafnir while doing so. And that move is 6. And this does not particularly help our combo potential. We don't even have a recapture from 3, but we actually just never need one. Because any situation where they block 5, say something like this, we can play 3 immediately because that just combos everything. And Vanille is a great sweeper. But we can also just go in 7, and we combo so much because one cool thing Fafnir has done is it has extended this combo chain. Whenever Larsa is comboed, it combos Nanaki, which now combos Fafnir. So we're just extending the chain from whenever we achieve this combo. And we're drawing it out further. If the opponent blocks 3, we can usually go in 5. Note 5 is available to us because their combo back in 7. Chris is our card to cover that, right? If we think some line like this, right? Okay, this one didn't work because of this. But again, any combo is covered by Chris. So here, actually, we should probably play it this way, right? That should be the one. Yeah, because we have both squares. Fun game, fun tactical lines. Nightwish goes here. And again, there is but one win. 4 is a pretty terrible square for us, so we can't deliver our final blow in 4. We have some combo potential in 1, but it's pretty limited. The question whenever they occupy 7 is, can we occupy 5? And Vid did, and this was again the only winning move. And Nightwish just can't capture enough back. He went here, and Vid closed it out with this move. And this was the position we had a screenshot of, and we had to try to figure out how we got here. And I don't think I was ever going to figure it out, but Vid had a memory, came back, he looked at it, it came back, and this was a really nice game he played. Because his memory was, somehow I put Fafnir in 6 as a key move and ended the game with Chris in 3. And that was the only clue I had to try to figure this game out. We had figured out what the hands were, but to get to that position, and I tried a bunch of potential openers and paths and couldn't figure it out. But really glad he remembered, and glad to get to cover a finals from 10 years ago. And the first of 2 tournaments that Vid has won. And I think a really nice finals game. Interesting parallel between the 2. We have 2 records of games from prior to 2021, really. And those 2 games are both finals, and they were both finals played against one of the Polish brothers, and both games were won by the opponent. And both games, and again, this was a multi-game match. This obviously didn't happen in the other games. But interestingly, we have one from each Polish brother, and each one was lost with the first move they made. Though I think Vid punished more fancily and interestingly than I did in my game. But yeah, great game by Vid. I really like the sequence of, if we go back, smashing that back button, I really like the move in 2, and I really like following it up with this move in 6. Really nice feel for how the combos would work, leaving the key squares open and being able to extend the combo chain that was eventually going to be punished on. And also just critically realizing which card had to come out of the hand, because in so many variations we can look at, Fafnir is the dead card bringing the hand down. And this is not to say Fafnir is a bad card, it's to say it just lined up really poorly with this board and couldn't find a home. And once it found a home, Vid won the game. So 10 years late, but I wasn't on the site at the time, I don't think. Congrats to Vid for winning Nanaki.